Blair Witch is a short film I made about a girl I grew up with who wasn't very nice. You could even say she was a witch.
This is Blair's old house. I grew up with her and she's really mean to me. Luckily she hasn't lived here in like 15 years, but when I was a kid, she put like gum in my hair and stuff. She was ridiculous. Oh God! It's her, God!
Blair Witch is the third movie in the Blair Witch Project franchise, and also a fucking terrible title for a third movie. The first one's called The Blair Witch Project. The second one's called Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. The third one's called Blair Witch. What the fuck is that about? That's almost as bad as Rambo being a direct sequel to Rambo 3. So Rambo 3 takes place before Rambo does. The fucking... Hollywood, stop fucking up titles, man. Anyway, Blair Witch is the latest in the Blair Witch Project franchise. It's directed by Adam Wingard, or Wingard, I'm not really sure how it's pronounced. He's the director of VHS, You're Next, and The Guest. And it stars a bunch of people you've probably never heard of before. One of them is James Allen McCune, who played Matty Baker on Shameless. And I'm about halfway through the 5th season, and he's a fucking weirdo in that show. That's all I got to say about that. The movie is set up very similarly to the original Blair Witch Project, and in case you haven't seen that movie, people go out to investigate weird occurrences in the woods, the legend of the Blair Witch, and weird shit happens. In this one, there's kind of a more personal connection to the original. One of the characters plays the younger brother of one of the characters in the original. One of the problems I have with it, although it is possible, it's strange that there's a 14-year age difference, roughly, maybe more. I don't think it could be less. A 14-year age difference between the brother and sister. And it's really strange, and how much of an attachment would you really have to this person? And how much would you really know this person if you're 4 years old when she disappeared? And she had been at college too. I think in the original she was at college, so unless that was like the beginning of her first year, she might have gone away when you're like 3. That's just a little strange, although again, it is possible. A little strange to me. So anyway, this character gets his friends, or I guess some of them seem more or less like acquaintances, to go out into the woods and search for his sister. He believes his sister's out there. And they go out there to search for her. And right at the beginning of the movie, the cuts are jarring to me. There's more, like in the original film, there was, I believe, only one camera, maybe 2. And this one, before you even get out into the woods, it cuts a lot. So it's quick cuts, and I think there might have been... There's 1 or 2 cameras at the beginning. When you get out into the woods, though, every character, save for 2, has a Bluetooth... Well, it looks like a Bluetooth mic. It's a camera, I guess. Everyone has a camera on their fucking ear. And there also is a character that has her own camera. So she has a camera as well as one on her ear, and then there's 2 other characters that share a camera. So there's a lot of footage, and it cuts between them very jarringly. There's almost too much footage. It kind of ruins some of the mystique that the original would have had, because you're kind of more engrossed if you have the one shot going on rather than splicing between 5 of them. Being that the cameras are on the ears, I also have a problem with line of sight. So a lot of the characters will look directly into the camera. They'll be like, "Hi, I'm talking to you," but are you staring at the guy's fucking ear? Because otherwise, you're looking over there. And that's where you should be looking, not directly at the camera. And the cameras also aren't going to be perfectly faced up. They would move around. They aren't the most secure looking cameras, and the girls have longer hair. And specifically, there's one scene towards the end where one of the girls, her hair is, when they cut to the footage, there's no way that the camera is even pointing this way. But it shows it straight on. It would have been pointing more towards the ground, and her hair is covering the whole fucking thing. And you could have had a little bit of hair kind of going in there, cluttering the view, and that would have made for a more intense scene. But they didn't do that. It made it too perfect. I would have much rather, if they were going to use the ear-mounted cameras at all, that they actually used them to shoot with and spliced that footage in. Another problem I have with the cameras is they seem to have their own emotions. So when it's a really intense part, the camera kind of cuts out. And so they'll be like corrupted, like the green line going across, because it's a digital camera. So like a green line going across, or it would kind of block up or cut out. And that just, it was way too convenient and happened way too often. Sticking with my problems with the cameras, none of the cameras have external mics. And the audio sounds great. Everybody sounds like it's professionally recorded, which it shouldn't sound like that. And even more, it's got a nice surround sound when you're in the theater, so you hear shit behind you or to the side, and that's not going to happen when you record on a digital DSLR camera. And going back to just the mic itself, they do have mics that will pick up more than one channel, but they're not going to pick it up like that, for one. And two, they weren't using them. There was no external mics. And if you want to know what a big difference that can make, look at any of my reviews before Cloverfield, because I didn't have an external mic for any of those. All right, so getting off my problems with the camera, the biggest problem this movie has really is the jump scares. There's no character that walks up to another character in the movie and just like, hey man, what's up? It's always they sneak up and they fucking poke them. Or they sneak up like, hey, and then she fucking jumps. There's one spot, somebody has that, like, she's staring at a fucking camera, can see the screen that shows what's behind her, and still gets freaked out. Like, freaked out. Still gets freaked out by somebody walking out behind her. And that really bothered me. Also, the character was laying down in a tent at the time, the one that sneaks up, right? Well, when you unzip a tent, it makes a lot of fucking noise. So either they didn't zip the tent up at all, or they have the best zipper ever made that makes no fucking noise when you unzip a tent. One of the two. Or she's a ninja. Maybe she's a ninja. That'll just explain it. The movie isn't all bad, though. I don't want to say it is. It has a really good atmosphere. It does give you the creeps, especially if you live near the woods or you experience being out in the woods. I live in a pretty rural area, and I've gone camping quite a bit, and it gets creepy just on its own. So if you can exploit that in a movie, it's freaky, and they do that very well. The movie also does expand on the Blair Witch mythology. It gives a little more detail as to what happened, or supposedly happened, to the witch, and it shows more. So in the original, it was pretty ambiguous whether or not anything really occurred. Nothing supernatural or explicitly so is shown. In this one, it's very clear fucked up shit happens. And some of the newer stuff they added, I actually liked quite a bit. And some of it, but it was kind of interesting. And it almost makes me curious for where a sequel could potentially go, except for this movie wasn't all that good on itself, and it bombed at the box office, so we're probably never going to see a sequel to it. A little more nitpicky of a problem I do have, though, most of the characters are dickheads. At one point, they get into a fight, and they're justifiably mad at one of the characters, and they're like, get the fuck and go walk away. Get the fuck away from us, go walk away. But they essentially think they're sending him what could be to his death. And they're just like, okay, just fuck it. No, you need to walk away. Nah, we're mad at you, and we're gonna keep an eye on you. You're gonna stay with us, and we're all just gonna leave. Nope, you fucking walk away on your own. That was really dicky. And then there's also a point where they have to cross a stream. So they take off their shoes and socks, and they don't pull up their pant legs, so their pants are just getting soaked when they're walking through. And even though they took off their socks and shoes, there's a shot after they cross the river of them hanging up socks to dry. And I don't understand that. So again, Blair Witch has its problems. There's too many cameras that show too much of what happens to each of the characters, and there's too many cuts between them. There's also problems I have with just how it lines up, how it's shot. That just kind of took me out of the film. On the plus side, though, it does have a good atmosphere going. It is creepy, and it does add some interesting things to the Blair Witch mythology. Blair Witch is rated D+. So given that Blair Witch is a horror movie sequel, name a horror movie sequel you really like. The one I really like is Halloween 2. It doesn't really get as much credit as it really should. When you think about the Halloween story, about what happens with Laurie Strode, just her in particular, you're often really going to think about the second one just as much as the first. In the second one, you find out there's a relationship between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, and there's the big witch hunt through town with all the trick-or-treaters. And the first one is very light on trick-or-treating. There's not that many characters that do anything like that. And you know none of the relationship between Laurie and Michael Myers. So again, name a horror sequel you really like. Make your mark below in the comments section. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. I haven't done this in a while, but here's a bonus review. Bonus review! It's for Samuel Adams' Bonfire Blonde. Well, if you wanted to have a beer that it tastes like it was downwind from a fire for a couple hours, this is a beer for you. Tastes like smoke. I don't know about you. That's how I want my beers to taste. Like fucking smoke. It's like I got to have all the fun of smoke inhalation at a campfire without any of the warmth or the fun times in the woods. Good job, Sam. Just a disclaimer, that Blair Witch joke at the beginning, not about any actual person that I may know. Because I think I only actually know one Blair from when I was a kid. And that joke wasn't about her. So, if somehow you're watching, we're good. Alright. Now let's go on to the outtakes. It was marketed, actually, as if it was a real film. Wait, I fucked it up. It's something that you think about more often than you probably do if you're a fan of Halloween. Blair Witch is a new movie I made about a girl named Blair, who I grew up with. And as you can guess, she wasn't very nice. Blair Witch is a new movie about a girl named Blair that I grew up with, who was kind of a witch.